And today I'm going to be talking about everything EOS. Obviously today in Australia, obviously, is the 1st of June. And as we see the 1st of June open up in other parts of the world at 11 a.m., which is basically in about 12 hours time, we're going to see EOS be launched into the rest of the world. So basically where we're at the moment is a really, really exciting time for humanity, because up until now, you've always had corporations and governments and whatnot controlling us as human beings. However, during the course of crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain and whatnot, we've seen a lot of, cool things happen, which has been slowly but surely decentralizing the world. Just before I get any further on today, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I always talk things about, property, crypto, investment stuff loosely. Go and see someone else about financial advice. I can see the likes coming through. So if you're liking the video, you like EOS, give it a thumbs up for support, and remember to share and show to your friends and subscribe to the channel, of course. So obviously, over the course of the last 100 years, we've seen humanity change a lot. We've seen big corporations take over the control. We've seen governments that control things that get, censored and controlled in our media, in our day-to-day lives, in everything that really touches us as humans. And when crypto came out, the blockchain was something very unique to the world, giving a level of decentralization. People have been putting the use of the blockchain to many different applications out there. However, unfortunately, if you were to run Facebook or YouTube or whatnot on most of the current blockchains that are out there, be it Ethereum or Bitcoin or any of the others out there, most importantly, the speed and the amount of work that it can do wouldn't actually support everyday sort of businesses that are out there. And in essence, why is EOS so important? EOS is very, very decentralized. It is has the ability to go mainstream and take crypto and blockchain to the mainstream. However, it is keeping things very, very decentralized. As we see, the mainnet, unlike most of the other platforms that are out there, EOS has done a few things that are very, very different over the course of the last 12 months. Firstly, they've done a 12 months ICO. That is there to stop people that are whales. Whales are those that have got a lot of crypto from being able to jump in and take more than 51% of the network. And in essence, if you have more than half the network, you can control the network and it becomes less decentralized, or it doesn't become it's centralized. So, and that's the whole point of crypto and the blockchain. So EOS and the Block One team have been releasing slowly but surely the 2 million EOS tokens for the last 350 days. On the first block, I think it was 200 million that got released. And there's been a lot of people with skepticism of the project and whatnot over that period of time. However, I guess the moment of truth becomes relevant in the course of the next 24 hours as it takes itself from the Ethereum network and the ERC20 token over to the EOS mainnet launch. And I guess today I wanted to talk a little bit about how that may look and some of the things that could go really well, or some of the things that could go very not well. And from the team, obviously very, very experienced team, Dan Lermer and Brendan Bloomer, they've been a part of many other projects. Dan himself has been a part of BitShares, Steemit, and obviously now EOS. And I think that, a lot of people have used Bitcoin, they've used Ethereum, they've tried making very fast transactions and whatnot. And I think, in essence, if one was to go and conduct business and try and order a coffee and use Bitcoin for it, or some other sort of form of payment, be waiting a couple of minutes to a couple of hours in order to be able to pay for that item and walk away. And the transaction speed is infinite on the EOS network. And basically what is happening here is we're building a world sort of supercomputer which is coming out into the public as of today. Looking at that front as to, so I just got a few messages coming through on my phone, as well as I was trying to take a look at some notes that I wanted to talk about. In essence, what they've sort of done to build this supercomputer is they've placed the company in the Cayman Islands to remove themselves from any sort of laws that are surrounding that, as well as what they've done is they've built the software for the public, and now it's over to the public to do the launch. So it's a community-based launch. And if we look at a lot of projects out there, if we look at Ethereum, we've got Ethereum Classic, we've got Bitcoin, we've got Bitcoin Cash. There's many different forks. As of June the 1st comes around and EOS goes to the mainnet, there's a few different block producers and groups of block producers which are actually going to attempt to launch this product. So no one's actually employed these block producers to do the work. It's all embedded into the part of the code. And I'm trying to talk about, this stuff because a lot of people message through and say, look, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. Sometimes it can get a little bit too technical. So I try and, make it very simple and layman's term as my explanation. But in short, what I see happening is many different groups of developers actually trying to launch the mainnet, and we could actually see 3 or 4 different versions of EOS until the community actually chooses which one they wish to go to. And ultimately, that could leave us with a few extra forks and a few extra free coins that come out with some not so great versions of EOS, with the main one, which would be the most prominent version of EOS. So that could be exciting in itself, seeing that you could have 2 or 3 different versions of the coin, like an Ethereum Classic and whatnot. The fork of Ethereum happened for a very different reason, because it was a security issue. Some of the block producers out there that are launching the mainnet, there's about 4 or 5 of them which I'm aware of, which actually understand the security risks that do surround launching a protocol like this, and some of the others are actually not implementing all the security platforms to it. The other thing to take note of is that there is no wallet at this point. There's a few people with wallets, but there hasn't been a group of people rushing in to put their tokens into a wallet. So this could actually have a few different effects on the market. So a lot of people have just put their money, or their coins, their EOS tokens into the Ethereum wallet, registered them. So there will probably be a low amount of circulating supply of EOS moving forward than what we've actually seen out there in the marketplace over the course of the last 12 months, due to the fact that people may not know how to open their keys back up, their private keys, and get those tokens into a wallet, so on and so forth. What I also see happening is, as the mainnet gets launched, there will be projects coming out on that. Excuse me. Looking at the projects that are being launched, those developers actually need EOS in order to build their infrastructure for their applications. So EOS tokens will be getting used and consumed for those things. So it could quite necessarily see a deflationary sort of amount of coins, so less coins being in circulation as they're all getting locked up, and that could inevitably push the prices up. I've got a figure in my head that I've talked about in the past, which sort of defies the parameters of where crypto is at the moment, and obviously from a monetary value. If we look at what EOS can actually provide to the world, in essence, there's lots of things that control us, whether it be those corporations, the governments, the banking system, the financial sector, and whatnot. What we can actually see happening with the launch of EOS, setting up your business, you could simply just go online, set it up using the EOS platform, and people that are using the tokens and generating your own tokens within that network to actually establish your business and run your business on that. The other aspect of it is the airdrops. The airdrops are very, very interesting aspect to this project. In the past, it's taken, there's ICOs, there's lots of laws around ICOs, but that's because they're being sold as an investment and people are using them as a financial instrument. However, if you were to consider the fact, if you got like an EOS airdrop given to you, it has no value. When people start trading that token, it generates a value, it has a value, and people can sell those shares. The actual developers can sell their own shares to actually start their projects, and in return be able to fund their project from not even selling anything. It's just a community actually handing in those tokens and people seeing value in the project. So very, very interesting way. And I think that the guys at Block One have talked about it more so as a feedback loop, which means that in business currently at the moment, you see generally a user of a product, you see the person that's delivering the product, and you see a centrally controlled operation controlling the situation. So if we look at most ways people have transferred money in the past, they say that I'm to send you some money, you send me some money, and we're using the government issued fiat notes or bills or whatever we're going to be using. In essence, there's more than two parties. The two parties is myself and you, or you and someone else, whoever the two parties are. And besides that, you have the two banking institutions which are going to verify the transaction, and then you always have an outside party prying their eyes in order to take their cut out of that. In essence, that is just one part of a transaction that happens in the economy out there. The other part of the transaction that happens is that you've got if you take Uber or you take any sort of platform which charges you money to do a transaction or to perform a transaction, whether it be one of the hotel companies out there or whatnot, what you will see is that the person delivering the product, whether it be the hotel and the person going away looking for accommodation, aren't aligned. That person that's going to stay at the accommodation doesn't have the same, care factor for the business, and the business doesn't have the same sort of relationship for the end user. They just want to take the profits. The middle company always wants to take the profits. But if you would actually make the end user and the person that's delivering the service one of the same, that is what they're calling the feedback loop, in essence, to make it more beneficial for both parties to do business, remove the middleman, and make humanity more of a peer-to-peer environment rather than a corporation-driven environment. And I think this is really, really exciting for humanity, because at the end of the day, there has not been any projects out there like EOS to date out there in the marketplace. So looking at that, EOS is not launching their own wallet. EOS is not launching the project themselves. They're simply throwing the code out there that they've been developing all this time. And I would assume that they're going to be using our money that we've paid for our tokens during the ICO process in order to build their own projects on top of the platform as well. So it's a really, really exciting time, because this could have the ability to remove corporations, governments, the big banks, Wall Street, all that sort of stuff. So very, very powerful product out there, project. The other aspect of it is that now EOS or Block One is in control of all of the Ethereum. Just thinking about it, if they've raised about $4 billion, $5 billion worth of funds, that's probably about 10% of the Ethereum network. If they go and dump all those coins, we're going to see Ethereum price get tanked as well. And I actually had a bit of a theory once, and it was actually when it happened. I don't know if many of you know about the CryptoKitties. CryptoKitties was a bit of a scandal where it basically showed the flaws inside the Ethereum project, and it slowed the network down dramatically. And I think that may have been a bit of a fun job, just to obviously prove that Ethereum can't do what EOS is setting itself out to do. So I think that's a pretty cool thing to look at there. What are some of the projects that could be used for on the EOS network? Basically corporate governance, for setting up businesses, storage of private files and whatnot, identification, running any sort of internet-based services. So if we look at what's out there currently on the market, you have Amazon Web Services, AWS, which powers most of the internet that we use today. EOS can actually make the internet fully decentralized and be able to take on the likes of Google's and whatnot. So basically, it's community backed. There's lots of projects that are going to be happening out there. For those that are holding the tokens, and if they're getting the airdrops, they're going to be getting returns on most of the projects or all of the projects that are coming out on the network, as well as anything can be created on it. Like if you're looking at Google, you can recreate Google. You're looking at YouTube, you can recreate YouTube. You're looking at Facebook, you can recreate that. You can recreate eBay, remove PayPal from it, whatever the case is. The actual use cases for this token is very, very powerful, and that's why I saw this as being a very, very awesome project for me to invest in. That's why I invested my money into EOS. From that side there, personally, there is no wallet at the moment that I'm comfortable with using. As time goes on over the course of the next week or so, I will be researching, obviously, daily to find out. I'm constantly researching EOS, very, very knowledgeable on that front. I'm going to be looking into the depths of the corners to see what is the most safest wallet to be using and what is the most beneficial wallet to be using. And I'll actually put that out on YouTube over the course of next week, so keep tuned for that. And I think that's basically it. I'm actually about to go out and meet with some block producers and have a little bit of a party before EOS goes live on the mainnet. So on that note, I will be answering your questions. So I can see there's a few of you here on the Facebook live, on the YouTube live today. And yeah, feel free to ask through some questions if you have some for me. I've got a question here from Found It on YouTube. Can you explain the airdrops? Where will they be dropped? And are they dropped into the EOS wallet? Good question. I don't know that answer yet. I would assume potentially, depending on the wallet. So you may have to go and download a wallet from the projects that are being created for the airdrops, and inside of those wallets you may be able to receive your coins by entering in your keys. Personally, I do not hand out my private keys to anyone out there, so if anyone asks for your private keys, there's two different keys out there. There's one that has the EOS and the one that doesn't. I do not put my private keys anywhere. I will not be sharing those private keys with anyone. Just simply because they have access to private keys, they can go and steal your coins that you've got there. So as for how they're going to be dropped, where they're going to be dropped, I don't know at this point. However, I will be keeping a close eye on, because I want to go and pick up as many free airdrops that I can. So if someone's creating a wallet out there and a project of a wallet which will actually be centrally, dropping all those airdrops in, that'd be fantastic. However, I think it's a little bit too early for us to be able to gauge that. I think that we will see EOS offline for a few days potentially until all the bugs are sort of cleared from the system, because it is a very, very unique way for a blockchain project to be getting launched. Question here, can you inform us when you learn? I will be reporting back to you guys when I do find out about it. So yeah, thanks a lot for the questions, guys. And yeah, with it, if you haven't registered your EOS yet, I've seen that a few exchanges have actually blocked withdrawals of the tokens coming out. I will attach a link in the bottom of this video on how to register your tokens. It's not a video that I've done. However, there's a guy called Kyle from the Awakenment channel, which is a very nice video, talking about how to actually register the EOS token. So a lot of people are writing into me saying that they're confused or stuck or whatnot. I'm not your IT support. I have to learn myself. YouTube has got a lot of good videos out there. I personally like my Ether wallet, and I used it via a security device like a Trezor or a Ledger. So, if you're using a Trezor or a Ledger, you're using my Ether wallet to put that in. The video that I will attach in the links below explains it very nicely on how to go and do so. So on that note, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for letting me be a part of your Friday afternoon or evening or wherever it is that you're watching this. And we'll catch up soon. And I look forward to seeing some of the awesome projects that are being built on top of EOS platform, and some of the awesome opportunities that present themselves over time coming. We'll catch up soon and have an awesome one.